Good Monday morning, everybody, and welcome back to another agent call review. As I say in every call review, this is something everyone should have their mentor do for them. Whether it's a good call or a bad call, knowing what you're doing wrong and also knowing what you're doing right is the first step to doing it right all the time. I'm actually going to be doing something a little unique today where I'm going to review my own sales call. You have to stick around to the end of this because I'm going to tell you a story of how this ended, and it's actually pretty crazy. So I hope you guys like it. Do me a favor, please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. So that way you get notified of all my videos, including the Monday morning call reviews. Drop a comment below of what you think I screwed up. I don't care. I'm always open for constructive criticism. Anyway, guys, let's get it started.
Hello.
Yeah. Hey, this is Ryan. I was giving you a call here. You had put in a request there. You were looking into some options there for final expenses.
Yes, I am.
Yes, sir. Well,
Hold
just a
on, just
very
hold on just a minute. I need to catch this call. Just hold on real quick, okay?
okay. Yeah, sure.
Okay.
All right, so this is one of those that it happened so quickly that he was like, hey, hold on a second. There's really not much you can do. Yes, I could have tried to keep him on the phone. In my experience, trying to keep somebody on the phone who either doesn't want to be on the phone or actually has something going on that they can't talk right at the moment is something that truly does happen. So I don't even get the chance to call him back. So he is serious. Now, if he wouldn't have called me back, I would have dialed him the normal 3 times without a doubt. And just to kind of give you guys a little bit of insight, this is a pretty fresh lead. I believe it was maybe only a couple hours old. If that, oftentimes I work off of almost solely appointments. This is actually one of those rare occasions where I was actually dialing, as they call it, dialing for dollars. Anyway, let's get into the rest of the call.
Yeah. Hey,
Hey, how's it going?
it's going good, man. I'm glad that you called me back. I was actually just going over a client's details here, and I was going to call you right back. So I appreciate you calling.
Um,
Perfect. So let me just pull up the file here. There we go. Just to verify your email here real quick, I've got Tom and a beneficiary. Is that right?
yes.
Perfect. So tell me a little bit about what's going on. How long have you been looking into some options?
Well, I've been looking for at least last month, and I talked with some guy, and so far I don't know his name. I got to look it up on my deal, but what he's trying to get me is like $7,000 for like $71 a month. I think that's a little too much, but I told him I was gonna look around.
Okay. Perfect. Well, hey, look, not a problem. The most important thing to understand is whenever it comes to getting something in place, you want to make sure it's affordable. Last thing you want to do
Mhm.
is get something that you can't afford, but then on top of it, you do want to make sure that it's going to be the right rate. So essentially, I don't know if the last guy you talked to was a broker. Really doesn't matter. I'm a broker, obviously, here in the state. So what I'm going to do is I work for you. So what I do is I shop around to get you the lowest rate. That make sense?
He's a broker too. Yeah, he's a broker too. He doing the same thing.
Okay. Well, fair enough. If the information you got is the further we can take, furthest we can take it, at least you got confirmation. But did he explain to you why it was so much or what the situation was?
Well, I know he really didn't. He just said that that's what he could get me. I told him,
Okay.
I'm 66. I don't take any medicine. I do smoke.
So a couple things to point out here. I want everyone to really take note on the tonality. So not only do we teach our agents to treat everybody as if they're a part of their family. So in other words, I'm treating this guy as if he's my brother or my dad, right? if I'm going to offer something to my dad or my brother, I'm actually going to explain to them why this is best. So the other thing that I'm going to point out is, as you could tell, I'm telling him, look, if the best rate that you got from this other broker is truly the best rate, then he's got a second opinion. And I truly mean that. Look, I want to make sales. I want to issue business as much as the next guy, but I'm not going to do it at the expense of others. And if this guy really likes this other guy, oftentimes you're only asking for a chargeback. So what I found is to help people feel like they can trust me and like I truly am trying to help them is give off that vibe. Make sure you have the right tonality. You're saying the things you're not, yeah, well, I'm gonna try to get you the best rate. Is that something that would help you, Mr. Jones? Right? Like that's very plain
And I'm retired. And I told him I wanted to have something. You still there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay, I heard the ding. No, I just told him I didn't want to leave my kids and my family with no with no burden on my funeral and stuff. So I was trying to find something. I was trying to get at least 20, but I couldn't afford what he was talking about. 7,000 was all I could get for $71 a month. And I'm like, man.
Well, so the first thing that I do with every one of my clients is I like to make sure that you know exactly what the situation is and why you're there, right? Because if you don't know why, what you're talking about is what it is, then how do you know how to make an educated decision? Make sense?
Right.
So that's the first part, right? You can anybody can choose to do whatever they want, whether they want to get $1 million or they want to get 10. But if you don't know why the situation is what it is, it's kind of hard to really make that final decision.
I want you to notice that I didn't drill into his why super deep. And the reason for that is one, this guy is already looking. Okay. So he's already talked to another broker. He's probably had a plan in place at one point or another. And if not, he's clearly looking, he clearly wants something. And if he doesn't, it's going to most likely be due to price. Whenever it comes down to it, this guy already told me his why. He already explained that he wants it. It's just more a matter of what can he afford? How much can he actually get? So sometimes it's really good if you've got somebody who's really dry and doesn't want to tell you anything. It's good to really work them to get their why. But if you've got somebody who's willing to talk to you, just like this guy, hey, look, I just want to make sure that I've got something in place, and this guy, this other broker already went through all that. There's no sense in reiterating the same thing over and over again, because oftentimes you're actually going to come off as more of a salesperson and that's all you're going to focus on. If someone already went through one process, you've got to kind of switch it up and make sure that you don't come off that same way, because it's just going to sound like a broken record. So just another thing to point out, it is always good to get a why, but you don't always have to ask every single why question, especially whenever they're already telling you that it's important to them.
And he also said that about full term and some other term, life term. I don't know what. I just really didn't understand it. So what are the two?
Okay. All right. So let's kind of make sure that we cover all the bases. If you've heard it before, no harm, no foul, but I want to make sure that you know exactly what it all means and so forth and so on. Okay. So again, just to kind of recap, what you're looking for is enough to take care of your burial, and it sounds like you'd like to leave a little behind to maybe leave like a financial gift. Is that right?
Yeah.
Perfect. Makes sense. So when it comes down to it, there's a couple different options. So
The first option is, really the two options are term and whole life. Okay, so
Okay.
okay, so term is just short for terminates, right? Meaning
Okay.
it's going to end at some point. So if you put it into place and you outlive it, that means it's all gone. Okay,
Okay.
so that's the worst part, and then you just start over from scratch. Now, whole life is what lasts you your whole life. You never have to worry about it changing due to age or health. And especially what we talk about, it's not like AARP, Globe Life, or anything like that. The price is going to be locked in for the rest of your life. Okay.
You're breaking up. You're breaking up.
Yeah, we're having a little bit of internet issues here. I do apologize. You got me now?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Perfect. So if you bear with me whenever the internet kind of cuts out a little bit, just to kind of bear with me here. For whatever reason, it's messing up on us. Um, so basically, what I was explaining is whatever you and I are going to talk about, it's going to stay locked in for your whole life. Okay. You don't have to worry about it increasing. Okay.
Okay. So that's a different term and whole life.
That is correct. Yeah, those are now there's obviously more nuances, but it's really not anything that you're going to be looking into. But then on top of it, the most important part is to know the basics. So that way you know the difference between the two. You don't get mixed up with the wrong one, right? So again, the worst part about term, and there are situations where it makes sense, but the worst part about term is the fact that it's going to end at some point. And if you want to run that risk, that is what it is. But the whole goal is to get you something to where you don't have to worry about it for the rest of your life. Okay.
Yeah.
So when it comes to the options, all life insurance is based on age and health. Now, I'm assuming for you, you probably are well aware. Have you ever had your own personal plan before?
My own person who?
Your own personal plan? In other words, have you had life insurance? No.
No, I
Okay.
haven't. Just not trying to get it.
So notice that I have now hit two parts. One, I just briefly grazed over the budget situation. Hey, look, we could sit here and talk about $1 million, but if it's something you can't afford, then that doesn't even make sense to really talk about it. The other thing is that we talked about, or I covered term and whole life. He had said that the other guy had mentioned it and that he didn't really understand the difference. That is so key to hear a piece like that. So that way you make sure that you don't, you have to make sure that your client knows what the options are. You have to make sure that you actively listen to your client. What he was stating there was just begging me to explain in a better way what the options or what the differences really are. So always make sure that you're actively listening to the client. Following the script is great, but notice how I'm kind of breaking it up. I didn't whenever it comes to the budget situation, I didn't say, so what exactly is your budget? He already mentioned that he was offered 7,000 for $70 a month. So that has to be somewhere in the realm around his budget. Now, instead of saying, so can you afford something around 100 to 150? I'm going to be asking, so whenever it comes down to it, Mr. Jones, do you feel like that $70 is really affordable? Do you want to spend more than that? Or are you actually trying to get it for even less than that? So you don't want to just say the script because it's in the script. This is a perfect situation of actively listen to what your client is saying. And this guy's already telling me a price out there that he's already thinking is too high. Now he thinks it's too high for 7,000, but he thinks it's too high. So maybe he wants to go something less.
Gotcha. Okay. And that's no problem. The good news is you're in good health. We just got to kind of figure out exactly where we're at so that way we can get you the best rate. So you never had a plan before, but you know that, a monthly payment's going to be due. So I'm assuming that you would pay that like out of a checking account, or is it just direct express card?
Direct Express card.
Direct Express. Okay, fair enough. So we're looking at Direct Express. Whenever it comes to life insurance, like I was explaining earlier, is it's all based on age and health. Okay, so your
Yeah.
age determines the rate, right? We can't turn back the clock. You and I are stuck at the age we are today, and hopefully we get older, right? But
Right.
when it comes to when it comes to the health, that's where I come in. So I'm not like Jake from State Farm, where we're going to, you're going to tell me your health details, and I'm just going to be like, well, this is what we have, and that's it. I'm going to take a look at everything, and does that make sense?
Yes.
Perfect, perfect. So let's kind of get into the nitty gritty things. What exactly is going on health wise? You mentioned that you're a smoker.
Nothing.
Nothing. Beautiful. So when you say you have no prescriptions, are there any prescriptions that you've been prescribed that you don't remember or you just never took?
I've never been what you call prescribed any prescriptions. I'm guilty of the whole.
Another very key point. Notice how I asked him, are there any other medications that maybe you don't remember taking, or that you have been prescribed in the past? So that's very key whenever you're going over the health details. You want to make sure that you know those things, or state them that way, because sometimes these people will say, well, no, I don't take anything. Doesn't mean I got 15 prescriptions in my bag over there, but I don't take any of them. That's a big problem in this industry. So you have to make sure that you ask questions in a particular manner. I've absolutely had it where I've had people just like this guy say that, yeah, I take nothing. And then come to find out, you go through the application process and they ask all kinds of questions about medication. And then everything comes out of the woodwork and you find out that they've got all these different conditions, but they don't take anything. Not all the time will they tell you the truth, but by asking it that way, you're kind of pushing that button a little bit harder to make sure that you're getting that confirmation that there's nothing. In the end, I can tell you that he does not take anything. They didn't ask about a single medication. Also notice that with this situation, I'm not going through every single health question. We can go through that on the application, and we do. Right now, it's important to focus on what the true details at hand are. And he stated he has nothing. He's completely healthy. So now we're just going to get right into the quote so that way I can give him some real numbers.
Hell, he is a horse. Good. That makes my job a lot easier, man. Then I don't have to write an essay on what's going on with you, right? So, real quick, what's your date of birth? Look at you, man. You just had
I'm
a
not crazy.
birthday.
I'm just a fool.
Okay, all right, fair enough. You mentioned that 7K for 71. When it comes down to that rate, is that roughly where your budget is? You think it's somewhere around $75 a month?
I ain't understand you breaking it real bad there.
I apologize. I was asking about your budget. So for the 7K for 71, is the $75 somewhere around your budget?
Well, that's what he's got me for $71 for like $7,000, something like that.
Yeah, but what I'm asking is you feel like that's affordable to you? In other words, that's not.
I think, well, what I've been looking at and seeing on TV, I'm thinking it's a little too much. I guess what I'm saying. I told him that also, but I don't know. That's why I'm checking around.
And it's important to understand that you and I are not going to make up the actual rate, right? So if 20,000 for a 66-year-old is, $10 or $200, you and I are not going to change that. But what I want to know is, or what my ultimate goal is, to figure out where your budget is, so that way, if I can get you more coverage, I can't promise you where I'm going to get you 50,000, but I can promise you I'm going to get you the lowest rate for the most that your budget can afford. that make sense?
Yeah.
So if you say, hey, look, I am not going
Yeah.
to spend any more than
Yeah.
$75 a month.
You're breaking up real bad again.
Oh,
But
gosh,
yeah, I was
dang this.
telling him, around 70,
Okay, fair
65
enough.
to 70 is what I was going to pay. I don't know. But that's what
Perfect.
he found for me for $71.
Okay. You put down here that your height is and your weight is that about right?
Yes.
I will note that the internet was not enough to handle all the people that were there. It was a whole group of us. It was actually my partner Cody, David Duford, and one of David's partners, and everybody was on the internet, and I couldn't figure out. As you could tell, what was going on. I knew it was an internet issue, but I couldn't figure it out exactly. But I did find out that the internet was causing a big issue in the middle of this call. Luckily, everybody or most everybody kind of dropped off, so that helped us out a little bit. Other thing that, as I said before, I was going to go over the budget and kind of hone in around that $70 range. It wasn't something that I wanted to beat into the ground, but I wanted to make sure that he was aware that, look, I'm going to get you the best rate, but we need to know where that rate needs to be. So I'm going to get you the most coverage for what your budget can actually afford. But I didn't go, well, so can you afford 150 or can you afford 100? I knew that he was already talking around 70. So let's focus on that. And if he wants something more, if I show him 25,000 for $70 a month, and he actually wants to go up to 35,000 because, well, wow, if I can get that much coverage, I want to get more, and I'm willing to spend more. Okay, great. Yes, you want to make sure. Look, don't don't get more than what your budget can actually handle. So you want to, hey, look, is that something you can actually afford?
Okay, perfect. No prescriptions. And I do have to kind of go through the history just to make sure, as you can imagine, I got a job to do. Do you have a pen and piece of paper for me?
I sure do.
Beautiful, beautiful. Okay, so
I supposed to be playing today, but the weather down here didn't permit us. They canceled us out. And it's
oh,
not
really?
even raining now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You talking
Well, we
about
wouldn't
golf or
start
what?
it. No, I'm a musician. I have a group called Element here in Lubbock.
No way. Really? What do you play?
I play drums.
Nice, nice. I was
Mm-hmm.
in little cover bands for I don't know, good 10 years or so. I used to play guitar and I did a little bit of singing there before the end.
Yeah, I'm still doing it. I've been doing it since been playing professionally since I was 17 years old.
Wow. That's cool. It's a lot of fun, ain't it? It's a lot of work, but it's a lot of fun.
It is. Yeah, it is. You don't get a lot of money, but because
Yeah.
we ain't had no record and no hit, nothing. But
Right.
but I love it, man. I was reading on Facebook a minute ago. A friend of mine put something down about a musician. What we go through and what we do. But if we're real musicians, we keep doing what we're doing. So
Yeah,
I'm a true musician.
that's cool. Yeah, it's tough.
These days, these guys got it a whole lot. It's a lot different now.
And now
Yeah.
I mean, it's out there, but I just don't feel like people appreciate it in the same way,
Yeah, I don't. I feel the same way. But just fortunately, I've been in.
All right, so let's get down to some brass tacks here, figure out where we're at. So when it comes down to options, we do have a couple.
80, 70, 80, 70?
76.
76. Okay. 80, 76. Gotcha.
So for the 10,000, what I want you to do is I want you to write down For the 10,000, I want you to write down $80.76.
80, 70,
76.
76. Okay.
Mhm.
80, 76.
Yes, sir.
Mm. Yeah.
Now, the one thing I do want to put out there, you're pretty healthy, so I don't think we got anything to worry about. But it is important to understand that I don't make the final decision.
Yeah, I
The
know.
company does, so we got to go through that process. But this gives you an idea. I'm pretty confident that we're not going to have any problems. So I just like to always put that caveat out there.
Okay. Well, I'm checking this out right now. You've already beat the guy that I'm saying for 1,000 and $3,000 and what did I say? $71. He was trying to get
Mhm.
$76. $76. I think that's what it is. And you give me $3,000 for $4 more.
And I gave you more coverage for what he was trying to get you. And again, the only reason I've been doing this a long time, and I've made
Okay.
over time, as a independent like I am.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I think I'm gonna be sticking with you there, buddy.
okay, all right. So the real question, and again, like I said, when it comes down to it, what's giving you the higher rate? Now, just to do a comparison, even if you didn't smoke, it's not like it's going to make your rate super cheap, right? Obviously, the smoking does affect it. That's all out in plain sight. But I just want you to know that at your age, it's never going to get cheaper than what it is today. Okay, that's not a bad thing. Because if you ain't getting older, the other side is not a good situation. But when it comes to life insurance, the older you get, the more expensive it's going to get. So we at least know where we're at. Go ahead.
Yeah, they be talking about that $54. That's for one of them youngsters, ain't it?
Yeah, I wouldn't say youngsters. In all honesty, there is quite a bit of a break. At each decade, so to speak, there's a little bit more of a break, right? So I wouldn't say youngsters, but it's definitely again, we can all at anything we've done in life, we can always look back in hindsight, right, and say, I wish I would have done this, that, or the other. The only thing we can do now is move forward and look to the future, what we can do now. So
well, just to make sure that I'm taken care of, and they don't have to worry about it. That's what I really want.
Yeah. And that shows that you care, that you love them. And unfortunately, I do talk to people who they're willing to make it their family's problem. They don't care anymore, and it's really unfortunate. So, but I don't think some people realize what it's actually going to do to their family. How tough it actually is. I've seen it, and I've seen it tear people apart because families fighting on who's going to pay for what. And I've seen it bankrupt people, so tough situation.
And I know how that is. See, that's why I want to do it, because I don't. They got families of their own and all that. And
yeah.
At least I can afford a lot of things when they were younger, man. So I just know how it is.
Yeah.
Well,
right. Oh, no, that's good.
Man.
Well, so let me ask you, whenever it comes down to the 10,000, because the most important thing is making sure that it is affordable for you, and that it fits your budget. So, do you feel like the 10,000 mark that we talked about, you feel like that's affordable, and you can always figure out how to make that payment every month?
Yeah, I'm gonna have it. I'm gonna have him take it off my my debit card off my
Your Direct
Direct
Express
Express.
card. Okay.
Yeah. See, I get enough to pay my rent and be able to pay that, and then I get a little. I get this extra benefit deal on. I'm gonna
Oh
be
yeah,
all
yeah,
right. I'm
yeah. Okay.
66, man. I'm getting a little bit more than I thought, so I'm gonna eat and have a place to sleep.
Yeah.
And
Good.
then
Good. Good. Good.
and then on the jobs we play on the band. We don't play a lot, but we play enough. It
Sure.
helps me subsidize a lot of things. So
Nice.
yeah,
Yeah.
that ain't bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was getting ready to put this other company in the deal on the 3rd.
Oh.
I was getting ready. I'd sign it over to them, but if you can get
And
me
here's what
this
I'd say,
for the
Jimmy.
80, I'd
I
rather
wouldn't
go
be
for
mad
this.
at you if that was a decision that you made.
Say
And
it
you and I
again.
got together, and well, I was just saying, if that would be the decision that you had made, that's not the end of the world. At least you got something in place. But in this case, you are lucky that you did wait, because now we can move forward with this. So yeah,
Yes, we can
sometimes
move
the
forward with
patience
this.
definitely helps. So as far as the application process, that's real simple. You don't have any problems going through that process now, right?
No, I don't.
Beautiful, beautiful. So let me get everything pulled up here. And there we go. And please bear with me. That internet is still cutting out. So if you have any problems, don't hesitate to ask me to repeat it. Okay.
Okay.
Perfect. All right. So there's two things I always like to explain to every client how the situation works, and you probably know this already. But the first thing is they want to know your full social. Now, obviously, they're not going to be doing any type of credit check or anything like that. They just want to make sure that you and I
Hmm.
aren't lying. The other thing
Yeah.
is they'll want to know the card information, and neither one of those are going to be any kind of problem today, right?
No. Won't be no
Okay, I
problem.
didn't figure so. Is it okay? Do you get text messages on this phone?
Yes, I do.
Perfect. Is it okay if I send you my business card so that way you can see me, know exactly who you're talking to and everything?
Okay, do that.
Beautiful. Pull this guy up here.
See, the other guy got to go look up his name, and your name was
Yeah.
again?
Ryan. Ryan?
Ryan?
Yep, you got it. RYAN.
Right.
All right, so we are going to stop it there, but I just want to go over some of the things, some of the processes, and some of the finer details that people don't think about. The first one was whenever it came down to the quotes, I said, "Hey, look, do you got a pen and piece of paper?" And he said, "Yeah, I've got one right here." So you always, always, always want to make sure that they got that pen and piece of paper and that they're ready to write it down. You want them to be able to write it down. Now, I will say there are some very few exceptions that I make, that if someone's in a car, pulled over on the side of the road or something, I'm not going to make them get a pen and piece of paper, but doesn't mean I don't ask. I want them to know that I want them to see everything, but you definitely want, no matter what, you want to make sure that if you can, you get them to write it down on a pen and piece of paper. So that way they've got something to look at, and you guys can actually talk about the options. And they're like, well, what was the 10,000 again? What was the 15,000 again? And yeah, what was that 10,000 again? That's the last thing you want, is to be going round and round and round. So very important. Ask for that pen and piece of paper to write stuff down. The other thing that I wanted to point out is, notice some of the rapport that I was building. He was talking about being in a band. I was talking about being in a band. Um, I did not try to build a ton of rapport right at the beginning. So that used to be the thing that everybody wanted to, and maybe some people still get away with that, but people wanted to try and build rapport right out the gate and really become friends. One, that comes off as salesy. Two, uh, nobody really, I mean, if I don't know somebody, why in the hell are you trying to make friends with me? Look, man, we're talking not because I saw you in public somewhere and I thought, oh man, I want to meet this guy. I'm talking to you because I requested information. So let's talk about the information. However, you do still want to build rapport. You just do it in a different way throughout the call. And you do that by having a conversation with people. And how do you have a conversation with people? Treat them like their family. Treat them like you would want to be treated. So, again, really take note on building rapport throughout the call instead of, try to be buddy buddy and be best friends. So, and as I've stated before, don't get put in the friend zone. You have to be very careful about how much rapport you build because you can easily put yourself in a friend zone. I've got a video about that. Now, another thing I want to point out is I really took my time whenever it came to him coming up with the decision. I really took my time listening to what he was saying and, maybe where his decision was going. Um, a lot of people in sales, as a matter of fact, if you guys don't listen to Peter Roberts, you ought to check him out. So I don't think I necessarily got it from him, but one of the things that he talks about, or I think I saw him actually talk about it recently, was that you wait, the first person to talk is the one who loses. So if you talk in this instance, whenever you give them the quotes, you have them write down the quotes and you give them all and you say, okay, so which one of those makes the most sense? Now, I know in this case, I didn't necessarily go about it that way, but we're working with the same concept. So Mr. Jones, which one makes the most sense for you? And wait. Be quiet. Unless they ask a question, you do not need to talk. Let them talk and give you their decision. Listen to what they're saying. So definitely take your time. I did not rush into, so what makes the most sense? So do you like the 10,000? Do you like 12,000? Do you like 15,000? Would you like to see something higher? Do you want to see about 16 more quotes that I'm going to go ahead and give you? Stop with all that. Just give it to them. Be confident in what you're giving, that you're doing the best that you can for them, and wait for them to for them to give you the feedback necessary of where we're going to go from here. Other thing that I wanted to point out is if you guys haven't heard it in the previous sales calls or the call reviews that I've done, always make sure to ask. Okay, so Mr. Jones, whenever it comes down to it, there are two important things that they're going to need. One is your full social. They're not doing any type of credit check. Just want to make sure you are who you say you are. I said a little differently this time, but something along those lines. Second thing is they're going to want the banking information, or in this case, they're going to want the card information. Nothing's due today, but they want to know that you're serious, and but they want to make sure that you're serious about actually putting in an application. Neither one of those are going to be a problem today, right? And you want to get it again. Wait, get that confirmation. No, that's perfectly fine. So you have to make sure that you get that confirmation that they're okay with that. Rushing right into it, not asking those questions will wind you up. You'll get one of two things whenever you get to either social or banking. If you don't ask those two questions, you'll get one of two things. One is you get to the social and they're like, well, I'm not giving you that. That's personal information. If you'd asked it before, you can handle that objection and really work with them instead of being in the middle of the application. Well, we got to get the social and we got to get this done. And we need the social. So you get ahead of it and look, why wouldn't you give the social? Do you not trust me? The second thing that happens is the client just gives you the information because you're going right through the application, and 5 days later they're like, oh man, I gave all my information. Are they going to take the payment? They start freaking out either on the call or, like I said, 5 days later, and they're wondering what in the world's going on. And oh man, this person's got my personal information. I don't know what to do. And they forget everything because they start to get so worried. If you're upfront and honest with them that, hey, look, these are pieces of information that they're going to need, then you don't have to worry about them not trusting you why you need them. So the last thing that I want to cover is whenever I asked for the social and the card information, if that was going to be okay, I asked him, so do you get text messages? Is it okay if I send you a copy of my business card? You want to use that for trust building. So I just told him, whenever it comes down to it, since I'm going to be asking for your personal information, I want you to know, see, and know exactly who you're dealing with. And I also tell them, look, that's got my personal cell phone number on it. So if you ever need me, you can call me on it. And it's also got my license number on it. In case you ever in case you ever feel froggy, you can look me up. So you really want to make sure to build that trust that at that point, they know who they're talking about. I know some people say, send it right at the beginning of the call, send it 1/4 in the call, send it 10 minutes after you're in the call. I don't give a shit about all that. What I care about is if you're really interested in buying, I want to make sure that you know exactly who I am. If we're still in the discovery phase of whether this is for you, whether you're really interested, whether you're a freaking suspect, I don't want you, there is no need for you to see and know who I am. Rarely has that ever helped me. I used to do it, but rarely did it ever actually help me. Actually, I found that oftentimes people felt weird and awkward whenever I would send them my information and they'd wind up hanging up on me for the weirdest reasons. I don't get that anymore. So I send it there. Plus, you are going to be asking for their personal information. They need to know who you are, and it should be okay for them to know who you are. So, just wanted to point out all those details. With that said, guys, I'm going to go ahead and cut it off here. I want to let you know that it did wind up being a sale. Now, as I told you in the beginning, there's one really crazy detail about this, and that is he actually wound up calling the company and canceling the policy about 2 or 3 months in. And I was lucky enough that I was able to get him on the phone and say, hey, look, what's going on? I saw that you canceled. Did something happen? And he said, oh, well, I found a cheaper rate. And I told him, I said, look, when it comes down to it, what we did was the absolute cheapest rate. Now, if you really did get a better rate, I'm perfectly fine with that. But who did you wind up going with? And so we originally put him with Trinity, and someone else put him with AIG. Well, when I ran the rates, there was absolutely no way that AIG, even if he got approved for level, it was going to come close to the rate of Trinity. Upon digging further, I told him, I said, you need to find out what the situation is on that policy, and find out if he wrote you as a non-smoker. So he was not happy about that and plainly stated that he's like, I told the guy that I was a smoker. He was really appreciative that I did because he found out what the policy was all about. And I told him, look, don't take my word for it. Call the company and ask them. And we scheduled an appointment for a day later, and come to find out that's exactly what happened. And AIG actually confirmed that he was written as a non-smoker by the other agent. So unfortunately, there are shady people out there that will do stuff like that. It's ridiculous. I hate the fact that it happens, but I don't know how to stop it. All I know is how to be the better of the two, and that is being straightforward and honest. He was really thankful in the end that I was honest about it. And he said, look, I promise you, I will not be looking for any more insurance. If I want to get more ever, I will absolutely be calling you. So he was really thankful, really apologetic that he even did it in the first place. He just thought that he was going to do something better. And he said, look, I know that that was a mistake. So when it comes down to it, guys, do me a favor, drop a comment below of what you thought of the call. Maybe you thought it completely sucked. I don't know. Maybe you absolutely loved it and you want to worship the ground that I walk on. I'm just kidding. Either way, guys, drop a comment. Please like, subscribe. Do me a favor, share this with anybody and everybody you know who's into insurance. I want to make sure that as many people see these things. I just want to help people understand the ins and outs of how to make money in life insurance ethically and successfully. With that said, guys, I hope you have a great rest of your Monday. Just keep dialing and the sales will follow. See you next one, guys.